about ourselves personally in a minute, but I'd like to start off with saying the question that Zena and I face in running this webinar is exactly the same question you will face every day, every month, every year as a leader. And the questions are very simple. Who am I? Who are you? And where are we going? They seem very simple questions. They are probably the most difficult questions, or amongst the most difficult questions you'll ever have to answer for yourselves. We will tell you a little bit about who we are, but it's a tricky question. Who am I today? Am I in the same role, the same department, the same organization, the same level, the same team? Who am I to you today? Is it different to yesterday? Will it be different tomorrow? Who are you? Clearly today, Zena and I have the challenging problem of not knowing any of you and not being able to see you. So we're having to imagine you. But even if you're with your own team, who are they? Who are they today? Who were they yesterday? Who are they tomorrow? And where are we going? Well, our task here today is to tell you a little bit about this program that you're interested in considering attending. So that's a relatively simple question to present, which is, where are we going? But your question as a leader in your organization is, where are we, the team, the department, the whole organization going, and how do you and I and the organization go there? If you spend one moment reflecting on those things, most of the answers to those questions are invisible. Who am I to you is invisible. You can see me, but you can't see what's going on inside of me. The same is true for me with you. Who are you? I literally can't see you today. But even when you're in front of me, what's going on inside of you? And where are we going is a question of the future. And none of us have perfect vision of the future. Leaders spend a lot of the time, quite rightly, dealing with the visibles. The last quarter's performance, the exchange rate for the dollar and the pound. We can see these things, but most of what you will be dealing with as a leader are the invisibles. Do you have the range of inner resources to do that? So, personally, my name's Andy Logan. I'm director of this program. My background is in organizational psychology. I've trained in therapeutic skills, martial arts, mythology, storytelling, dance, and meditation, some of which may seem obvious reasons for being at the head of this program, others of which may not immediately, may not visibly be clear. Why would that help on this program? We'll come on to that in a moment. The sorts of clients I work with range from the likes of Unilever, the United Nations, and local government, through to gang leaders in gangs in South Central LA, through to community leaders in Nairobi in the slums there. I've worked with very high-level people. I've worked with people doing the best they can in a community that's falling apart. So I bring a range of experience to this program. And before I go any further, I'd just like Zena to have a chance to get in on saying who she is.
Hello, everyone. So Zena me, and my background is I first started off in organisational development work and training and development within the police, and I was a senior police trainer, training manager. In terms of the kind of areas that I specialise in, it's very much around leadership practice and looking at you and the system that your own personal system and also the organisational relationship systems that you have to operate in as a leader and how to navigate those. So politics and the way people relate to one another and positioning yourself is all kind of part of my field. I've had my own business for the last 20 years, my own consultancy business, and the kind of clients that I work with is at executive level, companies such as GE, GE Capital, Cadbury Schweppes, Lloyds Bank, construction industry. I've done a lot of work in, so that's my background. I will talk you through now the aims and objectives of the webinar. So the aim is to introduce you obviously to the HPL programme, and the objectives are, by the end of this webinar, our intention, and myself and Andy in terms of putting this together, was to give you an overview of the challenges of today's environment. All of us on the programme have been working an awful long time in leadership, and I've seen the transitional changes in leadership that the organisations and leaders have had to face. So we want to talk to you a little bit about that, just to give you some context to why we're doing what we do, and positioning of the programme. We want to talk to you about the knowledge of the programme structure, so you know what you're coming to and what that looks like, and how we've designed it, and what outcomes. And we can confidently talk about those outcomes because we've been doing this for a long time. And an awareness of who the programme is aimed at, so so that you can kind of self-select and decide, is this programme for me at this time? So we want you to make sure that you're coming on the programme that's absolutely right for you. And obviously an opportunity to meet us and to ask us any questions at the end. So I'll hand over to Andy now. We'll talk about the challenges.
Thanks, Zena. So we will come a bit onto the design of the program, its structure, its flow, its content. But I'd like to start with our take on what it is that you as leaders are having to deal with, which we're calling the challenges of the world that you live in. The first challenge, as we've outlined there, is the current world's volatility, whether that be economically, whether it be politically, whether it be climatically, whether it be interpersonally. It's volatile. Things change at a rapid rate. They change directions at a speed that's almost unbelievable, and literally from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, we could live almost in different worlds. The world is uncertain. It's uncertain in a way that you're familiar with. In other words, we are planning our budget for next year. Will our key supplier put up their prices or not? Well, you may not know that, but you can find the answer to that. You have a relationship with your supplier. You can talk to them, and you can fill in the gaps on that kind of an unknown. But actually, and it's connected with volatility, the kind of uncertainty as a leader you are dealing with is the uncertainty that never goes away. It is simply a quality of the world we are in. We will have to make decisions without full information, without absolutely clear knowledge, data, and facts on many of the key issues you as a leader, perhaps in contrast to you as a technician, doing your accounts, doing your budget, solving a technical problem. That's different. As a leader, you're living in a volatile and uncertain world. You're living in a complex world. Now, complex is different to complicated. A 10,000-piece jigsaw puzzle is complicated, but you can use a methodology, you can use your experience and skill, and at the end of the day, there is only one right answer, and you will achieve it. Complexity is profoundly different to that. In simple terms, complexity means everything that you deal with is connected with everything else you deal with, including you. So it's as if you were trying to do a 10,000-piece jigsaw puzzle, but every time you moved one of the jigsaw puzzle pieces, it not only went to a new place on the jigsaw puzzle, it changed every other piece in the jigsaw puzzle as you did it. And it also changes you. So complexity means everything is interconnected, Everything has an effect on everything else, and you have no place to stand outside of that complexity to manage it. You are part of it. Ambiguity, again, is fairly obvious. We've got our point of view of what you might want to know about this program in order to make the decision to come onto it. The temptation is that we look at it from our point of view thinking, well, they'll need to know this, they'll need to know that. But that may not be your point of view. We may not have read your point of view accurately. We get some data in. There's going to be 45 people attending. Well, that may be more people attend, maybe less. Things are ambiguous in this world. To cut a long story short, this is the world you live in. You are all trained in a technical background, law, accountancy, IT, HR, whatever it is. You've all managed yourself, managed each other, managed teams. You're now in or moving into leadership. And the world you are in is non-resolvable through linear logical analysis. Logical analysis and simple facts and data do not help you deal with volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous environments, which we're calling VUCA. So what are we going to do about that? What you will need, along with your technical experience, along with your managerial experience, along with your rationality, analytical ability, and reasonableness. We don't want to get rid of them. We want to keep all of those, but add to them. You will have to develop your intuition, your imagination, your creativity. You'll have to learn to look at the world from multiple perspectives, not just the ones that suit you. You will have to learn systemic literacy, by which I mean in a complex system, if everything is interconnected and interwoven, how do you read the patterns? How do you read not only how it is at the moment, but the very moment you move, it changes. How do you read that process? And you'll have to learn compassion, because this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, is to engage with a VUCA environment. You'll need self-compassion, learning to treat yourself fairly. You'll need compassion for others, the quality of empathy, understanding, and humility. So that's what we think this program will help you add to the range of skills, abilities, knowledge, and experience that you've already got. How will we do that? Well, there's only one way of doing that, is you have to live some things. You have to try some things out literally. So this is not primarily a taught program. We are going to ask you to focus on some of the things I just mentioned, your current uncertain, volatile world that you're leading in. We're going to ask you to look at the things you would like to develop in yourself that will add to the repertoire of abilities and perspectives that you've got. Develop your intuition, your imagination, your creativity, your systemic literacy, your self and other compassion, your capacity to see the big picture and the detail within it and how it moves consistently. In order to do that, you're going to have to try it out. So the program is designed to ask you to identify for yourself a transformational journey that will achieve that. So you will choose to test yourself, first of all, in the classroom, secondly, back at work, with challenges which challenge you both outwardly. It's an external project and it's external things that you have to deal with, maybe a difficult team, maybe a challenging boss, externally. But also challenge you internally. How do you go beyond the you think you are at the moment? How do you go beyond your current way of making decisions, which may have been perfectly reasonable for a technical problem, but actually won't be able to address the complexity of the life you're in? So you're going to choose a journey that takes you beyond where your current way of being knows how to resolve the issues. And you will engage with it experientially, along with a range of maps, models, theories, and ideas, which we will work with you jointly on during the program. So what is the nature of a journey? We're going to say much more about this in a minute, and Zena will take you through some of the details. But in essence, a transformational journey has 3 stages to it. There is a preparatory stage where you get ready to do something you don't know how to do. So we will look at preparing you physically, intellectually, emotionally, and interpersonally. We will then ask you to step into the unknown. This is the transformational space, which is a large part of this program. The transformational space you will first of all enter here at Cranfield, because in that space we will ask you to be something different, do something different, think different ways, express it different ways, and for that you have to have a space outside of the everyday world of work and the everyday kinds of performance assessments that you face, because we're asking you to take a risk. The risk will, though, transform you. And the third stage of this journey is integration. Integration of what you've learned, integration of making sense of the experiments and the risks and the challenges you've addressed, but also integration in the sense of coming to see who you are becoming and having that witnessed by others, by us as tutors, by your fellow colleagues on the program, and ultimately by people back at work. So this is the 3-stage idea of a transformational journey. I'll now hand over to Zena to talk to you about those big ideas that I've put on the table, to talk to you a little bit more detail about how do they arise and how they worked with on the program.
Thanks, Andy. Okay, so I know from my experience of working with clients that one of the biggest things to go is, well, that's great, but can you do it in 2 days? And so obviously doing it in 10 days is going to be, how do I justify that 10 days to you? And the one thing I would say to you from that point of view is that the only way to truly understand transformation and be a transformational leader is to actually experience what that actually feels like. So how we've created this program is to help you by taking you on a journey through the transformational process so that you can actually touch and feel it and speak and understand it from your point of view. So it's a very enriching process. Module 1 is starting to build up, because that's 5 days, and that's very much kind of bringing you together with a group of people to build a cohesive group so that you can actually understand the transformational journey from all sorts of different perspectives. We get people from all walks of life on the program. We don't tend to find it comes from just one particular area or a kind of a particular industry even. So the nature of learning from each other is really, really important. It's a very experiential program. However, one of the things I would say to you is it's done in a really powerfully held way so that you can actually navigate it without feeling that where the boundaries here, and it's important that you feel that you are totally grounded and centered in the whole process. So the module 1 is very much about who am I, what am I doing here, what am I trying to be as a leader, what is my vision for myself as a leader, and to explore perhaps those parts of yourself that you were aware of, but you've never had an opportunity to go and explore and have a look at. We are then going to take you into module 2, which is the understanding of it. So it's the understanding of what the transformational process actually looks like in reality. We've all been through transitions in our lives, so it's starting to explore that in more intellectual depth, but also to actually make it more experiential so that we can actually relate to it as we're experiencing it too. Module 3 is then looking back at the organisation that we work in and think about, so how do I integrate myself back into the organisation? How do I, now I've kind of got maybe these aspects of myself that are emerging in me as a leader, how do I integrate those, not just into myself, but how do I then navigate that in the organisation I'm in and the culture with which I am faced within my particular organisation? So the design of it, so we go to the next slide. So how we've designed the program. So the program has been designed to build a strong, powerful, cohesive peer group. And those peer groups, we've been running this program a long time here at Cranfield, and those people who've been on the program, that cohesive group, we tend to find continues outside of Cranfield. So the groups that we work with will organise themselves afterwards to continue their development and learning on this journey. And that, for me, is a really good indication of the power of this program, that they continue to do your development ongoing outside Cranfield with that peer group that you've been with. So that happens during the program. We set that up, and also then it continues self-managed outside the program as well. We create a challenging, I wouldn't expect it not to be challenging from a leadership point of view, but I think the key thing is that it's actually safe, that it's very boundaried, and we hold that space for you so you can kind of go and explore where you need to explore, both in yourself and with each other, in order to safely explore some of those areas that wouldn't be appropriate, maybe necessary to explore in the workplace. And we help you with the resources to explore those things, and I think the key thing for me about leadership is it's not an intellectual thing, it's actually an embodied experience. So it isn't just about kind of people seeing you as a leader in terms of your role, but actually experiencing you as one as well. So even if you weren't in your position, we would still kind of get a sense from knowing you and your presence that you actually are a leader, and that's what our vision is for this program. It's also to create an integration process that encompasses the 6 dimensions of leadership mastery. Leadership is a practice. It isn't just a knowledgeable or a qualification on the wall to say, yes, I've been on this program. It's something that we must practice every day. So it's just as we would expect an athlete not to just kind of rock up at the Olympics and be able to run a race. They practice every single day in all the different dimensions that we would be talking to you about. So physical, mental, emotional. Those are the things I would imagine that you think, well, yeah, they're what we'd expect. But some of the other areas that are not always covered on other programs, in my experience, is the social. So understanding the social field and where you're positioned in that social field and how to navigate it in order to always be in your agency, to always be in your power as a leader. The social side is key, is absolutely key in terms of being able to influence that environment and that field. The spiritual from a point of view of values, and I know there's a lot of stuff around values at the moment, but not just about these are my values, but how do you embody those values? How do you bring those values to life? And then the symbolic. So one of the things that we often don't explore is how important symbols are to us as leaders. So that might be kind of, you know, the way you present yourself, the way you speak, the stories that you tell, how you tell those stories, maybe the way you present yourself physically in terms of how you are dressed even. So all the imagery that comes into leadership is really important, and we explore that as well. So stories and mythology and creativity is all a very important part of our leadership program. And the other thing that we do, which is unusual, I think, for this kind of thing, is to have 5 tutors on this program, all from very diverse backgrounds, that all come together to create an environment, a rich environment for you to go and explore in. And we share our knowledge with you from our own experiences and our own practice. So every single one of us is committed to our leadership practice. It isn't just a leadership training program. We all have our own practice, and we will accompany you, all 5 of us will accompany you throughout the whole program so that you have constant access to those resources that you need. So what can you expect to get from this program? So if you're going back to your leaders and saying, I really want to go in this program, how will you present that back to them? So some of the things that we actually know, because we, like I said, this program's run a long time, and we've continued to work with some of the leaders throughout those years. It will give you a higher issue resolution. So when you're faced with difficult issues, instead of going to a place that goes, right, this is what I've done before, so this is what I'm going to do again. It works in this organisation, so it will work here. We give you a much broader range of resolution in order to be able to work with the actual issue itself. So you, throughout the development of you on this program, you will actually start to widen your scope of resources that you have got within you in order to be able to look at a particular issue that you're facing. We'll give you much greater clarity and insight into relationship systems to raise your personal agency. So that's about kind of understanding where the boundaries of your personal agency are so that you don't step over it and therefore lose that power, lose that agency. But it's also to give you more responsibility, as in be able to have the resources within you in order to be able to respond appropriately to whatever it is that you're facing. The other thing is the powerful processes to resolve complex leadership issues. So we've talked about, at the beginning, Andy's talked about the VUCA environment, and one of the challenges within that VUCA environment is the complexity, is actually really being able to hold all those different aspects of a particular issue in order to be able to find your way through it. And one of the things that this program will bring you is an ability to resolve those complex issues and hold all those different aspects together at the same time in a space in order for you to be able to find your way through that. And then finally, a stronger leadership presence. Knowing kind of where your own resources are, where your personal agency lies, knowing where those areas of vulnerability, which we all have and we've all got, so instead of then trying to kind of spend a lot of energy trying to hide those parts of ourselves, we're actually going to help you look at the gold within, the gift that you've got within those areas in order to feel like those areas are no longer kind of the things that you need to hide. If anything, they're going to be integrated into your powerful leadership presence. So, who is the program for? I'll hand over to Andy now, who will put that into more detail for you.
Thanks, Zena. Well, we are actually going to give you a chance to ask us some questions in a moment. We don't just talk at you, but I'm going to talk at you for a little bit longer. To address the question, well, who is this program for? In one way, it's easier to start with who it isn't for. It isn't for someone who thinks that they've already got the answer, they just want to get a certificate on the wall. And I doubt whether you'd even be listening and tuning into this webinar if that were you. It's also not for people who are looking for what I've heard called sometimes a toolbox or a set of answers or simply a new set of skills called leadership skills. It isn't that there aren't skills out there that might be helpful. But I hope from everything that we've said in a VUCA environment, in a complex system, we don't have answers for you. We don't have learn these 10 skills, understand these 15 points that all top leaders know, there's your answer. In our view, those are about as useful to you as last week's weather forecast. They're not going to tell you what to wear tomorrow because everything is changing. So we're hoping you are tuning into this webinar at the moment because you are beginning to realize yourself that actually either the next leadership role I'm invited to step into or even the current one I'm in at the moment, I'm wondering if I should review it. How am I approaching it? What is the nature and place of leadership in my life at the moment, and am I stepping up to it? It's for people who, when they look out at the organization and their competitors or their suppliers, or they look out at their team, ask themselves the question, I think the role I'm in now, or the role I'm just moving into, or the way I currently do the role is due for an update, or it's due for a step change or crossing over a threshold. I've always relied in the past on being the best and most experienced accountant in the business. I'm actually now stepping up to senior leadership. I might be the finance director now being invited onto the board. And that's a step change. You're beginning to realize that leadership isn't just being the smartest technician in the room. there's another dimension to being a leader that's got nothing directly related to your experience and expertise as the professional that you have been in the past. Looking inwardly, you realize that maybe you need to change something in yourself. Maybe you've always relied on being vociferous and strong and dominant and authoritative, and you're thinking, that's great for some situations, great for some people, but maybe I need to learn some subtlety, some gentleness, some humility, some invitation skills rather than direction skills. Maybe it's for those who understand that leadership is a social process. If you think you're a leader sitting in a room all by yourself, you're not. You are simply a human being sitting in a room all by yourself. Leader is defined by actually other people listening to them, talking with them, following them, suggesting things that they could do. Leadership is a social relationship. It is not inherently a personal attribute. Having said that, we hope you're beginning to realize that we have no answers for you directly to what should you do. We have answers to how do you develop yourself, as Zena was saying a moment ago, to increase the range and scope and expand your leadership responses that are available to you, that you can call on in any situation. So one of the things we will say to you is the best leader you can be is the best you can be, and the best you can be will require the whole of you. So finally, it's for those who understand that leadership is not a technology, as I said, not a set of fixed answers or exact methods. It's an art form, it's a journey that continues, and it's the place in which you grow, not only to bring your full potential, your leadership, high-performance leadership quality to the meeting, but also where, as a leader, you grow that potential in everyone else. So if some or all of those things are things that are facing you, challenging you, or calling to you right now, then I can say this is the program for you.
Okay, so just to kind of bring this session in terms of the input to a close, we thought it might be helpful just to give you some sound bites of the people who have actually been on the program. And these are the kind of resonant of a lot of the comments that we actually get from the program. We get an awful lot of referrals from people who've actually been on the program, have gone back to the workplace and actually said, you need to go on this program. So we actually have built a really great network of people who do a lot of advocacy for this program, which is great. But from your point of view, you've never experienced this before, just to kind of give you some of the flavour of the things that people would say, so David Bowling from Manufacturing Director said, fantastic new dimension of tapping into oneself for understanding and development. Different to the usual. I know that you would be expecting Cranfield to do something different, otherwise why would we be here as a business school? So we're bringing to you innovation in this field, and that's the sort of thing that people really value and take back to the workplace, and it also differentiates them and associates them with something that's much more innovative in terms of leadership. It challenges your current way of thinking and expands your perception points of view and brings out the best of your personality. One of the most painful things in learning, as I'm sure all of you are aware by now, is the unlearning, not the learning. So that's kind of some part of the process that we have to go through on a leadership development program. But actually, the whole point of it is to bring out the best of your personality and to actually bring you to your highest levels of potential. And as Beata said, in this way, it's unique to other courses, but also very motivational and inspiring because it's about you. The learning has reorientated aspects of my leadership approach, strengthening those areas I sought guidance with and reinforcing what I thought I was competent at. The course promotes radical rethinking. We're all talking about now in the business world the disruptive business model. This, for me, is the disruptive leadership model. It's like, in order to create a disruptive business model, we have to have disruptive leaders. So for me, the radical rethinking and starting to kind of turn leadership on its head is part of what our program is actually about. Provides the space and support to reflect deeply on one's personal leadership style and potential, and to work to identify blockages and opportunities to take one's personal impact to the next level. Thank you so much. It's been truly life-changing. And I'm hoping that you can see from that it's a really positive experience and a very powerful experience, but then that's what we'd expect you to be. If you are in a leadership position, if you have a very strong, powerful calling to leadership, then one would expect that it to be life-changing on some level. So that's what our aim is for the programme and our intention for actually running it. Okay, so now is our opportunity to hand back to you. We've only obviously got a limited amount of time for you to ask questions, but we want to kind of, ask you to take the floor now and to think about what you might want to ask of us. And obviously we'll take it in turns to answer those questions in terms of if whoever will answer it will be the most appropriate person to answer it. So, over to you.
Okay, so if you've got a question, then please raise your hand and also unmute yourself, and we'll be happy to hear from you. Okay, no questions coming up at the moment. Okay. Can be any questions about the program itself, or about Cranfield, or about your state, Cranfield. So any questions really are welcome. Good question on chat.
I think from my point of view, what would be really interesting to know, if anybody's willing to shout out on this one, is what kind of caused you to be interested in this program in the first place. Would be really interesting from our point of view to understand.
Looks like we haven't got any questions, so
it's a quiet response. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll press on then with our final thoughts, and also from Svetlana to tell you a little bit more about the detail of the program.
Okay, we just had a question on chat. It's just really about the stay and accommodation at Cranfield. Very practical question, but yeah, thank you for it. So the program is residential, and it runs here at Cranfield. So you will be staying in our on-site hotel for the duration of the program, and it's a 4-star hotel with all modern facilities, with fitness center, swimming pool, and things like that. So yes, accommodation is booked for the duration of the program, and it includes all the meals as well, so there will be no extra charges, so the program fee includes all your costs. And we are situated in a very rural location, just between Milton Keynes and Bedford. It's very easy to get to, and it's quite a nice environment here. It's very quiet. We're surrounded by fields of cows and sheep, so it's very nice and peaceful, so it will be great to see you here. Okay. Have we got any other questions? No, we haven't got any questions.
Okay.
So I can move on.
So, any thoughts, final thoughts from you, Andy?
Well, yes. I was caught a little bit by surprise by no questions. So, but in a sense, that is what leadership is about, the surprises. And I think, really, if anything we have said has invited you to think further and longer and deeper about coming, please do that. I would say, picking up on what Zena has said, that there is no way you can lead an organization through a disruption in order to come out with a better resolution. There is no way you can do that without actually having disrupted yourself first. For two reasons. One is we need to break open the pattern that has been you for a lifetime and see what else is in there. but also you will then experience what being disrupted does to people at one level. Of course, you know, we've all been through the ups and downs. But I think one of the things when you're planning an organizational change, or that wonderful phrase now that's called organizational transformation, many people plan it. The first thing, of course, you know in a disruption is whatever you plan never happens. So the second thing is you need to plan what to do when the plan goes off course. And you can't do that unless you've learned how to be in my three-stage journey idea, in that in-between place. So you've done your preparation, you will eventually make meaning out of it, but in that in-between place is the place where you both really understand what it's like not to have all the answers, even for who am I, where it's really what it's like to struggle with the vulnerability, the uncertainty, the challenge, but finding yourself and with other people a way to do that that is beneficial, productive, constructive, and fruitful, whilst at the same time being enormously challenging and sometimes painful. So we hope that we see some of you or all of you here over the next year or two. We know that there is somewhere within you everything you need to face all the challenges that will come your way, and they will. We just want to be part of the process by which you learn how to find that resourcefulness in you, to find those dimensions in you that can cope with the world that you're in, and not just survive it, but to thrive in it and to develop your organization into the future. So I hear from you and see you in the near future. Thank you very much. Zena, any last thoughts from you?
Yes. I think kind of working with executives over the last 25 years, the one thing that's common to every single executive I've ever worked with and every single leader is the fear of being found out. And for me, this is where this program comes into its own. I think that one of the difficulties with having that kind of fear of being found out, and we don't necessarily in ourselves explore that in any depth, is that we therefore don't truly meet people and engage with them in the social field, because all the time we're hiding an aspect of ourselves. So one of the key areas that I think is really important in leadership is to be able to take off the mask and take off that part of ourselves that we're afraid of consciously being found out, in order to be able to step up and be seen and be visible and be comfortable with that. And then the other aspect for me is in the transformational process, what often happens in leadership is they step back from that liminal space where things could just start to emerge in terms of transformation. Something new emerges. There's always a step in the back instead of a stepping forward. One of the things that we do with this program is help you confidently step forward into that space of visibility, into that transformational space. And that, for me, I've not experienced that in any other program that I've worked on in the last 25 years. So for me, that's a really key part of the journey of transformational leadership, is being able to hold that liminal space. So thank you for taking the time out today to listen to us. And we really hope that you come forward for this program. And if you've got any other questions that you've got for us offline, then by all means you can contact by either of us and find out more information that you need.
Okay.
Thank you.
And just on a final note, Cranfield University is celebrating its 70 years of flying this year. So it's a special gift for all high-performance leadership participants. We're offering this unique flight experience, a free flight experience from our Cranfield Airport. It's going to be in a similar plane as you see on the slide, or there is another option for more adventurous people. There is another type of plane that promised us some aerobatics. No, not Concorde. No, but then some plane that will do some aerobatics potentially. So, so very exciting. So at the end of the program, all the participants will be presented with a gift voucher, and you are welcome to use your flight experience at convenient time. Okay. So if you are interested to attend the program, then you can book your place by contacting Alison Cutland, our Executive Development Partner. The contact details are here on the screen, or myself, Svetlana Jenkins, Client Coordinator. Again, my contact details are here. Or you can go straight to the website and book online. Just follow this link below. So this webinar has been recorded, and the recording will be available on our YouTube channel, and I'm going to email all of you a link once it's available. Okay, so thank you once again for your time, and we hope you found it useful. And if you've got any questions, you can email us or call us, and we'll be happy to help you. Okay, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.